Today, we have an awful tale that has sent shockwaves around the globe. It's a tale showing how important safety, responsibility are in entertainment parks. I want you to stick around to the end so we can find out what happened to a 6-year-old girl who died on a ride at a theme park.
Amusement park tragedy as a friend of the family of the 6-year-old is speaking out this morning.
This family losing their 6-year-old daughter.
A 6-year-old girl has died.
As we start sharing this heartbreaking story, you should prepare for an emotional roller coaster. No pun intended. The day began just like any other normal day for Wangle and her family. They were excited and looking forward to a day of laughing and excitement when they got to the amusement park. They didn't know that things were going to change for them forever. The attraction in question was called the Haunted Mine Drop, a ride that guaranteed a very scary experience deep within an iron mountain. Riders would drop 110 feet from the top while hearing spooky mine tales. But what was considered a safe trip was an absolute disaster. The ride's creator intentionally left out the shoulder straps to make the drop a little scarier. Only the seatbelt covering the rider's lap was the barrier. Wangle got on the ride with her aunt, uncle, and cousins at about 7:15 in late afternoon. Her uncle sat right next to her because he thought that the ride staff had put her seatbelt on. They had no idea that a terrible thing was about to happen. As the ride started to go down, her uncle turned to Wangle and asked her if she liked it. But his happiness turned to fear when he saw that she wasn't sitting in her place. Fear overcame him as he stared down and saw something that would stay with him for the rest of his life. Wangle's dead body was on the ground of the mine shaft, 110 feet down from where he had fallen. In a split second, an innocent life had ended, leaving behind heartbreak and a world that would never be the same for them. Wangle got many broken bones, brain damage, and cuts on the inside and outside of her body during that fatal period. Her family was screaming as they anxiously attempted to get off the ride, but it kept going and it wouldn't let them off. Approximately 3 minutes after the ride began, it took them back up to the peak of the mine shaft, leaving behind the horrible event that had just happened. Even though rescue workers got there quickly, it was far too late. Wangle's life ended almost immediately. Every parent's most terrible fears came true, and it was a painful lesson of how fragile life is and how important it is to cherish every moment that you're given. A probe was started immediately to discover what actually happened to cause this unfortunate event. The results of the injury were exceedingly disturbing, of unexpected. Wangle wasn't even sporting a seatbelt. She sat in a seat that was empty when the last time the ride went around, and the ride attendant forgot to put her seatbelt on. However, she sat on the empty seatbelts, not realizing how dangerous it was. Even scarier was that a security system showed that Wangle wasn't being held down properly. It was new on duty for a few months and didn't have proper training, restarted the alarm, and let the ride go on. The terrible event showed how little the workers knew and just how unprepared they were. Even more concerning, the park had dismissed reports from visitors in 2018 and 2019 that their locks were not right. This absolute carelessness shows how little this park cared about protection. As soon as the review was over, the state of Colorado fined the park $68,000 for not training its workers well enough. The scary mine drop was shut down immediately, and safety steps should be taken before it could be used again. But could these measures compensate for all the pain and loss Wangle's family had been through? Can whatever number of safety rules or fines ever restore comfort to the family that has a shattered heart now? The sorrow they feel and the space left behind by their beloved child is an injury that no effort is ever going to actually do anything to fix. Even though we applaud the attempts to stop upcoming incidents, we have to admit that these steps, they're not enough. They'll never take the unbearable pain that these people will feel for every moment going forward for the rest of their lives. No, there's no way to make up for such a significant piece of grief or fix a heart that's so broken. Steve Beckley, who started Glenwood Caverns, said in an interview that he was sorry for Wangle's death, for what it's worth. He told them that he knew nothing could take away their pain, but that their security always stood as the most important thing. Sure. Beckley said that their visitors and staff's health and happiness always came before anything else. The terrible mishap caused a wave of sadness throughout the area. Wangle's family said goodbye to their darling daughter at a private service at Evergreen Cemetery in Colorado. Her school was also incredibly saddened by her death. They said they understood the family's sadness and that it was hard to imagine what they had lost. It's a lesson to enjoy the easy things in life and to take advantage of every chance you get to make moments that are going to last, to laugh while you get to laugh. Wengel's life was cut short by tragedy. Far too short, but her vibrant personality will continue to live on in the memories of those who knew her. She'll always be an encouragement to appreciate the wonderful things of life and grasp onto the joy that we share. When tragedy struck, the town's resilience and camaraderie shone pretty brilliantly, giving Wengel's family comfort, support, and an absolute downpour of love. The whole town came together to help Wengel's family after this terrible thing occurred. A GoFundMe page was set up to help pay for the funeral costs, and the number of people donated was it was impressive. So far, the effort has earned more than $80,000, which shows how much people were affected by this tragic event and how much they care about each other and just want to help. One comment on the GoFundMe page said, "Her parents, family, and the whole community are heartbroken by this sudden and tragic loss. We want the whole community to be there for the family throughout this terrible loss." Even though the family was in a bad place, the abundance of support gave them just a glimmer of hope, just enough. Again, no expressions can adequately describe how sad everyone who knew Wengel was. Even though the inquiry has thrown insight into the series of mistakes that resulted in the death, her family's attention remains on her memory, and how they'd like everyone to honor her. This death was quite sad, but those who knew her still found inspiration in her. This reminds us that life is short, so that, again, you really should enjoy every second with the people that you value. Even if it's nothing, even if it's just a silly conversation, it's just you and them sitting across from each other laughing, those moments don't last forever, I promise you. Nobody deserves to lose their kid, which is an awful reality. As we think about this horrific event, we need to keep in mind how important it is to hold people responsible. Wengel's parents were upset that the ride's workers weren't charged for what they did that led to their daughter's death. They thought that her life had been handled like it didn't matter, or it was cheap, or an inconvenience that had expensed the park. How terrible is that, right? God. And Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park, which used to be a place of fun and excitement, is now just an unsettling reminder of what can happen when you don't follow the rules. Well, at least safety guidelines. The park was fined because it didn't train its employees well enough, but the question still stands. Can a fine ever make up for the loss of a life? And is it actually going to be prevented in the future? As the parks revealed intentions for reopening the Spooky Mine Drop with more safety measures, it's really important to keep in mind that nothing can take away, again, nothing they ever did. They could pay the family $1 million and it wouldn't save anything, you know? Some people may feel like they can finally move on. However, for the Wengel family, I don't need to keep re-stressing the same point over and over again. You probably have some sense of what loss feels like. You've probably lost before in your life, but yet those wounds are just going to be there forever, and it was negligence that caused them. In the end, Wengel's sad death on a ride at an amusement park is a stark example of how important it is to be safe, to take responsibility, to enjoy the time that we're able to spend with those we care about. And if you're the worker that neglected to make sure everyone's things were buckled before the thing catapults downwards, you should feel bad for the rest of your life. And back to the other point, as customers, it's our job to make sure that entertainment parks put the safety and happiness of their visitors before anything else. You know what? No, it's not. It's not our jobs. It's their jobs to make sure we don't die. Yeah. Greed and capitalism. There's so many. Alright, you know what? I'm going to start ranting if I go on. Let's take what's more important here. Let's remember Wengel by getting the word out, pushing for stricter safety rules, and helping her family deal with their loss. May her tale be a strong lesson that each life is important, and disasters like this can't be ignored. The legacy shines like a lighthouse of belief, encouraging us to make our planet safer so that our children don't have to worry about going to an amusement park. Thank you for being with us today as we told this sad story. Remember that safety is important, and we can all work towards a world where things like this don't happen. If this video was interesting, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with others too. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring content. We respect your ideas and your opinions as usual. At least that's what we say. So please leave them down below. Stay secure, be aware, and never overlook how important it is to hold on to those who love you. And God, be smart, people. Pay attention, right?